BTHV1 back. Bruce the Handyman version 1, because the Handyman never does the same thing twice. Well, we're back working with one of the three rototillers today. This is the small one, and it shows the most promise. So I thought I'd start with it first, because it's my first project of the year. Just got back from an extended vacation, which you can have a look on my channel. BTHV1 is my nickname, and BTH version 1 is the formal name of my channel. So today we're going to take off the rewind and the clutch, which will show you what that is underneath the rewind, and we're just going to see how bad a shape that's in. What happens is the rope doesn't always retrieve back in, and we'll start with that and we'll see how far we're going to get. We have to take off 3 bolts. I'll pick up the camera. It's just 1 bolt there, 1 bolt here, and 1 bolt back over in there, and then that'll just pull off, and we'll put it into an old baking dish tray with some solvent, and we'll clean the dirt out of the rewind spring inside there. So there we go. Into the box it goes. Just pull off here now. Very good. And as you can see, it's just filthy inside there. And the rewind is just sticky dirty. But I think that we can cure that with some solvent in a baking dish. And this is the rewind right here. And the whole purpose of the rewind is to cog into that gear to fit onto that, and it turns one way but won't turn another. Turns one way and won't turn another. But this feels like there's dirt inside this clutch as well. So we'll take that off in a bit. So I'm just going to give this rewind a bath in some solvent, and we'll come back. Hi, it's Bruce. I'm back, and we've done a good job of, I say we because I include the audience, of cleaning up the rope rewind. It looks a lot better inside. This was one of the dirtiest ones I've ever seen, and via the serial number, which is on the cover here somewhere. Here it is. I don't know if you can actually see that, but right there is. We'll see if we can do it. Right there is the engine series number, which is 81302, and that is this is the serial number 943750, and believe it or not, this is the year 1961-08-22, and then the 0 is just a sequence or something like that. So this is a 1961 engine, and I know that I couldn't believe it because it's in such good shape, but I do know that it does have points. It doesn't have the electronic ignition, which came out in, I believe, 1982. So in the Briggs and Stratton service manual, which I've got right here, this was given to me, it says on the compression page that not to rely on the compression testing from the top of the motor with a compression tester, which I have. It actually says in the manual to spin the motor backwards, and if it catches on the compression stroke and pops back, it still has enough compression. So this is the normal flow of the motor, and there's the compression stroke there, right there, and then it says if you spin the motor backwards and it doesn't continue to flow backwards, that it has enough compression to run. So here we are. See that it's stopped. So I'll just do that again. And it's not. So we'll take that off. There's a 1/4 inch bolts. There's the screen. That keeps dirt and grass debris from getting into the fins. And the way the governor works, I'm trying to do this so that you can see in the camera too. It makes it even harder. You'll find me laughing at myself in most of my videos. It's a very humbling experience videotaping yourself. There you go, you got it. And that's the clutch. And I'll show you what's inside here in just a second. This is a really old one. So we'll come back in a bit when we're ready to tear this apart. Hello folks, I'm back. Well, here we have our 1961 clutch. And I can tell that it's a really old one because normally there's two pieces of metal that go together to hold this clutch in here. But this one has a clip, a huge clip, and it just pops out with a screwdriver like that. I've seen one of these before. And there we go. Now inside here is going to be some ball bearings that catch on some cogs. As it rotates, the ball bearings catch and it turns. So I will take the lid off now and we'll see what we've got in here. Oh, well look at that. There's 4 ball bearings in there with a little bit of grease, and there's only 1 cog. Now the modern ones have 4 or 5 cogs that catch the ball bearings as it goes around, and it ratchets only in one direction. So here on this one, as you can see, oh look at that, you can see that it's quite damaged, but I think with a little bit of work with a file and the grinder that we can clean this up and get a new semi-groove in that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this rewind up, and that'll explain why sometimes when I pull the rope it catches and sometimes it just pulls just like there was nothing there. So there we go. So that says to me that this is a 1961 Rototiller. So I'll talk to you in a few minutes after we get this cleaned up. I'm just going to wash it with gas and clean that cam up. Well, hi there. This is just a short clip to show you that we've got things cleaned up. Looks pretty clean inside there. And somebody has taken a hammer to this trying to get it off. I still think the best method, you can buy the tool that has a spacing just right for 2 extruded pieces to turn that, or you can just tap it lightly with a chisel and use an oil filter wrench, which is what I do anyway. So this is what happens. This turns inside here, and these ball bearings get caught, and that's how it turns, and it ratchets like that. So what I've done is I've just cleaned this up a little bit. You can see the ball bearings have already worn a little bit of a groove in there, but the ball bearings just catch on there. And that's all that is. So we're going to put this back together again, and the next thing we're going to do is pull the flywheel off to check the points. So we'll do that right after we put this clutch back together again. Bye. Hi tubers, I'm back. Here we're working on this old 1961 Rototiller, and to get at the breaker points, which are behind this flywheel, first of all we have to take off the coil, which puts the spark plug energy to the spark plug, and then we're going to have to remove this flywheel because the points that provide the interrupted voltage to induce the high energy current for the spark plug are underneath here. And so first of all we're going to take the coil off, and then we're going to use an air tool to take this flywheel off. There's 4 1/4-inch nuts, or bolts, I mean. I'll use a nut driver. There's 1, 2, I'm probably just going to clean these points unless they're really pitted. It looks like someone has been in here before because one of the aluminum fins has been broken off the flywheel. So I'm hoping that maybe they stuck a new set of points in at that time, because the spark plug gap looked very strong, but you don't know until you have a look. And we've got it this far, we might as well take it right out. Now we could convert this to electronic ignition with another coil, but when an engine is this old, it's kind of nice to keep things original. So now I'm going to let's turn this a little bit so we got a round spot. Hey, that didn't take much. There we go. We got the flywheel off, and we'll may have to make sure the orientation of this washer is in the right spot because it's curved outwards. There's the broken vane I was talking about, but it's only aluminum, so it's not going to unbalance the pretty heavy flywheel that we have here. And it's fairly clean underneath, so something tells me that somebody's been in here. And let's have a look underneath the cover, underneath the points cover. Sometimes that can be a tough job getting that flywheel off of there. And I did not cheat. Oh, here, I'll just give you a look at this now. Excuse me. So now we're going to take the points cover off, which is these two quarter nuts here. Okay, I don't know if you can see how well you can see, but every time the motor turns over, these points open and close like that. Open, close, on a little cam that is driven off of here. So now I'm going to just clean these points and put everything back together again because it looks really good. So here we are with our feeler gauges and the points, and the first one is a 20. Whoops. Holding a camera is hard to do. And it just fits in there with the slightest amount of drag. And here is an 18, which is a little smaller. I'll come from the side if we can. Pardon me, once I get it in there. And it just slips back and forth in there with no drag at all. So that's as close as we can get her. And now we're going to just put everything back together again. Whoa! Thanks for watching. Hey YouTubers, I'm back. So now we have the cleaned up clutch put back on the shaft. We've got the screen put back on to the flywheel. The flywheel has been mounted, of course, back over top of the points. If you look really close, this was a loose connection here, so I soldered this high tension wire onto the coil, and then I remounted the coil, and when I did so, I left a business card spacing between the coil and the flywheel so that there's just room enough for it to slip by and pick up the magnetic pulse as the magnets in the coil go around and activate the actual coil itself, inducing the high voltage spike to ignite the fuel. So that's what's happening there. And now I've just disconnected the linkage from the governor, which blows in the wind of the flywheel, to the carburetor. And now our job is to take the carburetor off and rebuild the carburetor. Now this carburetor is exactly, or so very similar, whoops, to the one that we have over our 8-horse one that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Sorry about that. So anyway, I'm just going to take the carburetor off and we'll go to step 2. Thanks a lot.